Hi everyone. This is Dan from MyGamer, and I'm with Zach as always.
And this week we are playing the newly released Shiren the Wanderer, the Mystery Dungeon of Serpentcoil Island. Say that 3 times fast.
I'm good.
Yeah. And this game at the time of this stream just came out yesterday, so it's like not even 24 hours old.
Yeah.
And we've played a lot of the Shiren games here on stream before, and we've always enjoyed them. I think it's kind of safe to say that the Shiren games have always been at the higher end of the quality in terms of like the roguelike dungeon crawlers.
Anything from Spike Chunsoft, really.
Yeah, I mean, yes.
So like
for sure.
the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon stuff. Shiren, of course. Oh, fucking hell!
So this game might have a higher difficulty.
Yeah, so in Shiren, you lose all your equipment and start back at level 1 at the first village. So I'm not super upset about dying right there because I did a shitload. Basically the farthest I'd been in the dungeon was 14, and my last run took me to literally the boss of the dungeon. So it took me all the way to 31. There's like a ton of extra dungeons, and like supposedly beating the game is like only the first part, and then it unlocks like a ton of other shit. Which I kind of don't like it when they do that.
And there's supposed to be, I'm looking back here, I got a press release, and there's apparently a feature called the parallel play.
Yes.
And I know it's too early, you haven't had a chance to check it out yet, but new to the Shiren series, parallel play is a feature that allows players to upload save data to create parallel data created at any point during a dungeon adventure to the server, enabling other players to continue the challenge. By uploading the created parallel data to the server and exchanging the issued parallel ID, other players can challenge the dungeon under the same circumstances and conditions, providing a fairer way to compete. Since can be created and shared even in the middle of parallel play, multiple players can enjoy a relay-style dungeon adventure. So that's kind of cool. Kind of adds like a ghost element to dungeon crawling, like an online multiplayer ghost thing kind of going on.
Yeah. I've tried the rescue stuff. I've rescued like one person. One of the cool things I found in this game is there's an option called rescue yourself. So with the rescues in the previous versions, they would give you like a code and you could give it to like a friend. And people on GameFAQs used to post them, and they'd go in and like they would do the same dungeon that you had done and go to like revive you. And when they get to you, the dungeon ends for them. This one, there's like a neat little spin on it that you get points for rescuing people, and then you can click rescue myself, and it'll give you a list of power-ups to go in the dungeon. Like start 10 levels higher, start 20 levels higher, start with plus 20 strength. All stuff like that makes it much, much easier.
And I remember playing the previous Shiren game, the Tower Dice of Fortune, something, another long name. I forget the exact name of it now, but man, I just remember that game had like so many different items that you can get. Like I was thoroughly impressed. Like you can get all sorts of items and like attacks and weapons and stuff like that. Like you can fight, the square right next to you, and then you can get an item to like clear the whole screen, and then a row, and then poison and electric, and like all this stuff. There was just to like learn what each item did was just kind of a game in of itself. To like have a really good run, it takes a while just to figure out like what all these items and things do, and you kind of have to learn all the little details to make any significant progress. But I was just like, wow, there's so much to this game, and it's like super deep if you want to take it that far.
Oh yeah, and when you first start off, you're going to get a bunch of items, and you're going to be like, this is garbage. What would I ever use this for? like a confusion herb. It
Yeah,
confuses an enemy, and you're like, what would I ever use this for? And sometimes you're in the really late dungeon, and
you need it.
there are enemies that like you kill them, they release their ghost. That ghost jumps into another enemy and upgrades it not in level, but to the next version of that enemy. So, like every enemy, like it, like they recolor in like every RPG. Your guys,
You-
there are tiers of enemies. So like this blue guy right here, there's like a green guy and there's a red one. Like they all change, but that higher tiers, it's vastly more difficult. Now, if you play it correctly and you're equipped well enough that you can let them level that guy up and then beat it. So like there's a green one. You get a ton of experience. But it's also extremely dangerous.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like every item does something, but which is a stupid phrase to say, but it's like every item has definitely a use. I feel like you play a lot of RPGs, and it's like you're really not going to need a potion that's only going to heal 50 points when you're like super far deep into the game. Are you really going to use this thing that causes confusion? No, but like I feel like in Shiren games, yes, they make a difference. Like you want to use them, you need to know when you use them, you need to know how many you have in stock,
You have
and knowing how to.
Yeah, you have two
Yeah,
enemies surrounding you, and they're going to kill you before you can kill them because they're both doing just enough damage and you don't have any healing items. But if you throw that confusion herb at them, you can take them out one at a time.
yeah. So it's it's very. There's a lot of depth to these games. So if you you can just play a run and get killed and kind of still have some fun. But like if you really start playing this game for hours, learning what all the weapons and items do, like there's a lot to it.
Oh, yes, there's so much to this game. And I have every released game that has come to the States. I mean,
Yeah,
there
and there's
like
been
there's
been
six, so
and there's been a lot that hasn't come to the States.
absolutely, yeah. I don't know that 4 did.
Like there was one on like Game Boy. There was even one on like N64.
N64 was 2. The first one was actually on the Super Nintendo.
Super Nintendo. There was one actually. There was one on Wii.
That was 3.
That was 3. Okay, so yeah, I remember that one. Seeing that game on the shelf on like GameStop back in the day.
It's funny because I actually really liked Shiren, and I was super broke. And my wife and I do this thing called going to GameStop and being depressed.
I think that's like you could do that now just with like Amazon or like anything else. Yeah.
Oh no, well we go to GameStop and it's like, hey, do you want to buy this fucking 3-year-old game for fucking full price? And it's used.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I don't. Well, get the fuck out of GameStop, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So every now and then I trick myself into thinking like, oh, I'm sure that there might be that hidden gem game that is hard to find there, and I can get it cheap. It never fucking never happens. Never happens.
Yeah, what's weird, not weird, but like cool and different about this Shiren game is it's like fully in 3D. Other than like, I think the N64 one was like in 3D, but like for the most part,
the Wii was in 3D.
The one on the Wii Studios, but it's like for the most part, I feel like they've always been like really good pixel art. So to make the jump again back to kind of 3D, I think is just like a nice presentation change.
The pixel art in 5 was amazing.
Was that the Tower Dice of Fortune?
Tower of Fortunate Dice. I don't.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was awesome because it was originally on Vita. Then it was also ported to the Switch and PC. Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, I think it might have been on. So Shiren games get ported. That's just sort of what they do. I don't know that was originally a Vita game. I think in Japan it might have been a PSP game. I might be entirely off base on that though.
Yeah, you might not be wrong. Yeah.
Because I think the one on the Wii was a PSP game too. The PSP it did really well for obscure Japanese RPGs.
Oh yeah, there's some great stuff on the PSP.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Oh great, more story. All of the Shiren games have story that will push you to go deeper in the dungeon and advance it. But what'll happen is you'll unlock more and more things to make it easier to go deeper in the dungeon. Like I just unlocked uh, uh, merging of two items,
Oh,
combining
yeah.
them. And that was like halfway through. And the farther I went, like it was unlocking more and more of it. Um, I'm just trying to unlock fucking allies.
You need every advantage that you can
Everything,
get.
yeah.
Every step, like, and I think the thing with Shiren is like, you clear a couple of floors and you start to get comfortable and you're like, I can do this, I can take, and then you like one wrong step is a domino effect and game over. It's like you could just, with one mistake, you could totally screw yourself.
Oh yeah. In so it's different in all the games. The one on the Wii was the easiest because I don't even think you lost. It was you either didn't lose your items or you didn't lose your level.
Mm.
And Azuna, the unemployed ninja, did the same thing. And you could the fault with that is you could grind to level 99 and just like punch the end boss to death without issue. So like even without it, if you just kept grinding, you could beat the game eventually.
Are there permanent unlocks in this? You can get permanent, like you gotta like really grind to get some permanent things, but like, so it's not completely 100% starting
RNG.
starting over from scratch each time, is it? In
Um,
this new game, I don't know if you got that far to
I'm
like really unlock
assuming
anything.
that it's unlocking stuff. I
Yeah.
know that you get companions. In 5, there were companions that you could recruit from the starting village. So you could always leave the village with a
Mm.
companion. In the
Hmm.
first Shiren game, they were always random where they would appear. I believe though that the more you used them, the stronger they got.
And you, like we said, you need every advantage that you can get, because yeah, you'll eventually, yeah, you could take out maybe a couple of floors, no problem, and then like I said, it's just like bam, here you go. Here's that difficulty spike.
Yep. Oh, okay, I already upgraded. Yeah. It a lot about it. So this is the secondary dungeon that. So instead of going the main path, you can just take this one, and it's like a tunnel kind of.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a lot of Shiren and making progress is just the
yeah.
entire act of unlocking stuff.
Unlocking stuff, just keep playing, keep grinding, knowing that you're gonna die, making a little bit of progress each
It's
time. But I think the key is kind of, as I was kind of saying earlier, it's like the more you play, not only are you going to gain that little bit of experience to potentially get those permanent unlocks, you learn about the game. Like you learn about all those, every single item that you get. You learn about all the enemies and their attack patterns, and you just kind of like, you
yeah,
learn that
and you can
memorization as
learn
you go.
from on site like, oh, I should not be messing with this guy.
Yeah. Yeah, you learn over time, and that's very important to take note of, because these are the kind of games that, yeah, you're gonna get your ass kicked.
Oh yeah, and it's. I was like, why did I not pick that up? Oh, I ran on top of it. Yeah. So, oh god, in every game, those guys are fucking awful. The Scorpion King,
Hmm.
whatever the fuck it is, Scorpion. It's just a Scorpion. Yeah, they normally wherever you are, they take a lot of damage and do a lot of damage. Um, uh, what am I putting in? Let's just go Onigami. Oh, it literally just might be a pot.
And I think the Shiren games, like if you've never played a Shiren game before, like if you're watching this right now, you never played a Shiren game before, I think it like looks intimidating, it looks complicated, and it kind of is, I guess, but like it's one of those games like, okay, you start to learn pretty quickly. Like, so there is a learning curve, but it's not like this overwhelming learning curve that's going to like really hinder you from like, or getting, you're not going to get like too frustrated. Like, yeah, there's definitely a learning curve.
You're gonna get frustrated.
Yeah.
And you're gonna be angry, die. And things aren't gonna be your fault.
Yeah. That's just that. I think that's the nature of a roguelike. That's just going to happen.
So do you remember when I was talking about enemies that were just way, way fucking higher level than you? Yeah.
You hit that wall, that difficulty spike wall.
There you go. So that's why you get damage, because you might be like, oh, why do I need an item that'll just clear out a room? Well, first off, monster rooms are a thing. Those are rooms that you walk into, and they're literally every space is full of a monster. So those are a thing, and if you walk in and you're able to unleash that in one hit, all of them,
yeah,
you're in a good place for a while. Even if you two-hit them, if you have like 2 wind scrolls or something, yeah, you're in a good place. But yeah, you also have it for enemies that are way harder, because you might be doing 1 hit point of damage, but that scroll's always going to do 50. Which also later on in the game, if it's just one-on-one, that is not nearly enough damage. So
I guess you can track your own steps on a mini map, assign up to 4 projectiles and magic staves to the hotkey.
Oh yeah, right here's the hotkey for that.
And handy dash to move quickly.
Yeah, there's all of that stuff. Shiren tries to introduce ease of life, like quality of life improvements when they can. Not on the difficulty, fuck you. But
I guess there's a new enhanced live display mode. Enhanced live display mode neatly presents information such as character stats and inventory on a single screen, perfect for streaming gameplay. Players can see details like runes on weapons and shields and the items stored in pots. But I guess you can choose from the 2-screen option to best suit your needs. I guess there's like a whole nother like option where you get like more you can see like more menus and things like on the border of the screen. There's a tiny screenshot here from this press release that I got.
Huh. I normally like skip, like Shiren hasn't really changed in 20 years. Oh god, 30 years. Fuck. So I typically skip all of the instructions.
Yeah, I mean, like, I mean, it's still a roguelike if you kind of played when you played them all, but it seems like they keep, like with this one, they added all these new features that haven't been there before.
Yeah, I like the rescue yourself thing.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah,
I think that's like a feature helpful. That like, yeah, I think that's like a feature like everybody probably wants.
Ooh, that's super useful. The amulet I had is actually a monster find amulet.
So it finds monsters?
So if you look on my map, you can see red dots.
Oh, the red dot. Yeah. Yeah, that's super helpful, because this way you kind of know, like, I'm not going to go south, I'm going to go east instead, or if you have that option.
Oh, yeah, or I can say, oh, there's like 12 fucking monsters all right together. That's clearly a fucking monster room. I'll stay out of there if I'm unprepared. And typically monster rooms have a ton of really good items too, though.
Yeah, that's a nice relic to equip.
Oh, fuck. Strength grass gives you 1 strength. Which might not sound like a lot, but when you get like 1 stat point up a level...
You need every point.
That shit adds up fast.
Every point you can get is good to come your way.
Mm-hmm.
You can walk on angles.
Yes, absolutely. You have been able to since the first game.
I know there's some roguelikes that don't let you walk on angles,
Well, they are
which can be a little bit of, you're right, yeah, a little bit annoying.
Do I have anything I want to get rid of? Yeah, Dragon Grass is another one of those in a pinch damaging items that you'll do about 70 points of damage regardless of level.
I think Shiren's another one of those games where you want to use your items. Like I think a lot of RPG, maybe this is just me, how I play a lot of RPGs. It's like you get an item, I'm not going to use this.
Yes.
Maybe I'll need it later. It's going to be, I'm going to need it later. I don't really need it now. But it's like, no, if you get an item, you need to use it now, immediately, like with Shiren. Like, don't be stingy.
You can fucking sit on an item, but you better have a reason for it.
Yeah, it's you really want to use the
tools
items.
Given
don't,
to you.
Oh man, yeah, don't, just sit on it.
Yeah. And here's the next town. All right, so that has been a chunk of Shiren, sir. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's going to be good stuff. I mean, Shiren has always, never really let us down. Always been at the top in terms of quality of the roguelike games, and this game doesn't seem to disappoint. I think it also just kind of it came out, yesterday, which is kind of a good time to come out, because there's no other, what other big $60 AAA games are coming out right now? Nothing. There's this game is kind of it for the end of February here. I can't really think of any other big games coming out in the last couple of weeks and a couple of weeks in the future. So I think it came out at a good time.
Yeah, absolutely.
But anyway, we are from a website called MyGamer.com. Go there, put us in your favorites. We are covering the games that really no one else is covering, kind of like Shiren here. And you can check me out on Twitter at ZachGaz, ZACKGAZ. And until next time, thank you for watching, and game on.